Good afternoon, everyone. Tough act to follow there. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't play those games. Robotics veterinarian, behavioral game designer, holopotation specialist, 3D printer engineer. Go back to your LinkedIn contacts, your Facebook contacts, Twitter, Tinder, if that's what floats your boat. Do you know anyone with these jobs today? Maybe look around the hall, maybe you'll find somebody who is a 3D printer engineer or a behavioral game designer. Sure? If not, I'm willing to bet that you will know some of these guys in the next 5 years. Because these are the jobs of tomorrow. 2011 to 2016, all these fascinating words came to light. Mobile, big data, cloud computing, social, IoT, and we were just getting used to them. From just conferences, they were becoming real job descriptions. And then suddenly 2017 came and new words started coming. Blockchain, AI, deep learning, self-driving cars, virtual reality. Research shows today that a technology can reach up to 50 million people in just 35 days. And the fate of the technology can be decided whether it will have a chance to play or not. In the last 17 years, since 2000, more than half of the companies in Fortune 500 list have gone off that list because of disruption, because of innovation. The way we sell to our customers, the way we engage with our customers, the way we do our business, all of that has changed. In fact, if you look at some of these job titles, data scientists, AI engineers, these are some of the hottest cutting jobs that exist today. And most of those jobs did not exist 5 years before today. Is that scary? A little bit, yes. But there are always two sides to the argument. So there's a myth. And frankly, I think the myths are thanks to Terminator and Robocop. But there is a myth around machines will gain consciousness over time, or they will take away employment. You go back and think about when tractors were introduced, right? And what will happen to farmers, blah, blah, blah. And over time, the world increased its food production and new jobs came there, right? One day ATMs were introduced and we thought what will happen to the banking industry? People will not go to bank. And then new jobs came in. We had wealth managers and we had analytics guys and so on and so forth, and the banks evolved, right? So machine and automation have been continuously increasing human potential, and new jobs of tomorrow come. And these only help us to produce new jobs. The problem is who will do these new jobs. Just some data points. In US, some reports say that almost 1.4 million jobs in the computing industry will be required by 2020, while the US educational institutions will only throw out around 400,000 computer science engineers. In India, that statistic is even more alarming. I don't have figures on purely computing, but reports say that almost 700 million skilled workers are required. And again, only few million are coming out of colleges every year, which means that we will be facing an alarming shortage of talent for the jobs of tomorrow. Then the obvious question is, who will fill this skill gap? Because there are clearly not enough people coming into the system to fill this skill gap. The answer is very simple. All of us, you will fill this skill gap for the jobs of tomorrow. If that is true, at Udacity, we did a survey. We went to business decision makers and we asked them, if you believe that your own teams have to fill the jobs of tomorrow, then are the current education systems relevant enough to teach them? And a staggering 89% said no. When we funneled that data to chief learning officers of the organizations and asked the same question again, we realized that a staggering 96% believed that the current education system will not fulfill the gaps that are required to prepare people for the jobs of tomorrow. Because most of you guys are working. You're not going to leave your jobs. You're not going to go back to college again. Where is the problem? It's not that we can't have people for jobs of tomorrow. The problem is we just don't have enough learning mechanisms today for that. Education is one of the slowest moving sector. We are still learning in a classroom mode, low scalability. If you want really good content, it is extremely expensive. And then if you're a working professional, you're always questioning the relevance of the content. Right? for the today's generation, for guys like you, or for the millennials in the audience, how will they learn for the jobs of tomorrow? You know the attention span of the millennial today. So it has to transition away from a full-scale degree to something which is shorter, something which is on the go, something that can keep interest of the millennial, something which is short, and most importantly, something that can focus on the lifelong learning element. Because technologies will keep on changing and people will keep on becoming redundant again and again and again. So, we figured out what will fuel the next generation of jobs. What is required to prepare for tomorrow? And we came out with these 5 most important elements. Aid quick deployment. Companies don't have the patience to train people. They want it done now, and if you can't have it, then that opportunity is lost. Education that is most relevant. Because they have very small time, they want to make sure that while preparing people for jobs of tomorrow, there are career pathways available. The way we think of it is somebody is doing front end, then he does full stack, he can do machine learning, he can do AI, maybe he can build a self-driving car. There needs to be a path that is available. The learning needs to be compact. It can't go on for years and years. We get requirements of 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks interventions. It has to be really compact. It has to be lifelong. Your employee needs to know that you're willing to invest in him again and again, not just once. And it needs to be very, very credible content. If you're going to make someone in your team learn again, then you have to make sure that they're learning from the most relevant stuff. If you do all of this, jobs of tomorrow can become a reality today. It is that simple. Here are examples of 2 companies who have been doing this in their own ways phenomenally. We have many examples, just 2 here. One very close to home, Bangalore Infosys. I'm sure most of you know they have a most incredible learning campus in Mysore, probably better infrastructure than almost all colleges that exist in India. Yet, they realize that they can't teach everything, so they bring in companies like Udacity and others to teach stuff like machine learning, AI, robotics, self-driving car, data analytics, so that they're preparing employees today. Far away from home at AT&T in the US, in last 5 to 6 years, they have retrained 140,000 people. They are so serious because they know that if they do not train people for the jobs of tomorrow, today, they will cease to exist and fall off that list of Fortune 500. And they are doing that today. At this point, I actually want to play a video of our founder, Sebastian Thrun. Not because he's the founder of Udacity, but because he invented Google Glass. He was the founder of Google Labs. He invented Google Glass. And he wrote the first ever code for the self-driving car that was built at Google Mountain View complex. And he's someone who invested in himself for jobs of tomorrow way early in life at his college days. Here is a short video of Sebastian talking about machine learning.
I chose machine learning as my subject area when I was an undergrad student. The vision was that computers should be smart and they should be able to learn. It was the most exciting thing I could possibly do. Fast forward to today, machine learning is the hottest thing in Silicon Valley. We now reached a point where machine learning can do almost anything. Banking, healthcare, government, education, manufacturing. Amazon uses machine learning to lay out its web pages. Netflix finds what movies to recommend, and the Google self-driving car is based almost entirely on machine learning. I believe everybody with basic coding skills can become a machine learning engineer. In fact, you can even design your own machine learning software relatively easily. Give it a try.
At Udacity, we believe we are making the world future ready by working with those companies who are investing in developing their employees today for the jobs of tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you, Ishan. So we have time just for one question to Ishan, and I will let him select. So anyone with hands raised? So here,
please.
Let me get you the mic.
And I promise to keep my answer short so I can get in 2 more questions.
If there is so much of a skill shortage in India, every year so many engineers pass out, why are most of them unemployed for such a long span of time post-graduation?
It's a great question, and the short answer won't do justice, but I'll try to keep it really short. I actually wish that companies like ours did not need to exist because colleges could do their work well. The problem is that none of these technologies are being taught in colleges today. So if colleges would invest in those technologies in the 4 years, I think India would have a much, much stronger base coming out of colleges. So it's a complex problem. We have seen few examples of universities who are already investing, but 10, 15, and there's a commonality there. The founders of the university have typically had US education or exposure to global learnings, and they feel very comfortable in engaging their students in some of those opportunities.
Thank you so much, Ishan.
It's been a
Can we hear
pleasure.
it
Thanks.
for him, please?